effect. When I'm trying to use a negative number, because we're always trying to see from positive to negative, when I'm trying to run, I got again 9, but 999. So that means the last digit being the 9, the seed value which you provided. So random, honestly, it will not be used in the live environment. We can not ignore, but just remember what the rand stands for. Rand stands for random number. All right. So let's come back to the next one. That is sign. Sign is also a function which helps SIGN. But if you want to understand what the sign function and how it works really, again, I don't see much importance of this sign also in the real time when I'm working. It has certain golden rules, and it will always stick to those golden rules in order to give you the result. So what are the golden rules? If number is less than 0, okay, whenever it encounters any number which you are providing, if it is less than 0, then what it gonna do is then sign is nothing but the function returns -1. Okay, so that's a golden rule here. Whenever it encounters some less than a 0, then it is going to display -1. Why? That's how the sign function is being designed. So in the next one, it has if number is equals to 0, if it is exactly equals to 0, then your result is always going to be a 0. That too a positive number, not negative. Okay, that's the second golden rule for this sign operator, the sign function. So let's see what is the next one. That is, if your number is greater than zero, then how the behavior of this sign? Then the sign returns what value? It is going to give a positive 1 number. Okay, these are the three golden rules which we need to remember when you're working for the sign. Whatever the number you are providing as a seed parameter, it depends upon these three golden rules. So let's try to see different combinations here. Select a sign, SIGN, yeah, sign of let's say -23. What does it mean? Now, when you're trying to see providing the number, immediately you should get these three golden lines in your mind. That is -23. Is it comes under the first category or second category or third category? Directly we can see it comes under the first category. So what it is going to display now? It's going to display -1. So let's see the next combination. That is, I've given let's say 0.1 thing something as a negative number, including the decimals. So it is going to show you -1.0. Why? Because it's exactly equal to 0, or then it is going to display. No, it still falls under the first category. Sorry, I'm thinking about the second one. No, it's not equal to 0. It is less than 0. Then it's going to be -1.0 because being it has a decimal point. Now let's go for the next one. That is the sign 0, which I'm trying to give just like that to satisfy the second condition. Will it give me a directly 0? Yes, exactly. So this is falling under the second category. First two are falling under the first category, and third one is falling under the second category. Let's try to see how you can work with the 0.1, because here we have seen two combinations for the first condition, these two combinations for the second one. When I'm running this 0.1, obviously this is 1.0 because it is working. It is working in context with the golden rule. That's it. So let's go for the next one. So yeah, so we can also see some positive number like bigger one, maybe, in order to get the complete 14. 14 is less than 0 or greater than 0, so the output should be 1. So that's how the sign works. I don't see really any importance of this in the live environment, but however, just remember for how this sign works, you should have these three golden rules in the mind. All right, we have seen pretty 1, 2, 3, yeah. So we have seen from the ABS to the sign function. These are the numeric functions through which you can make a better cleanup of your data. This is round, this is rand, this is sign, this is rand, and this is sign. Yeah. All right, let's see the next functions, that is the date function. So let me copy my format so that you'll have easy to read. That's the only reason we need the comments here. All right, so date functions. Date functions plays a very, very important role because the kind of data which you're trying to download from the different systems, most of the time, the date comes in serial numbers either. The second wave would be like you are getting a different format, like you are getting year, month, and day. Probably you want to convert into a day and month, year, or different combinations, vice versa. So let's try to see all those combinations of date functions, because this is very, very important than the string and numeric functions. Most of the time you work with the dates. You want to retrieve the data of last month only because you have 20 years of data in your database. So it's not really important to use that select star from table, which will try to give you the complete data, and it will slow down the performance of SQL Server or any relational database management system. So you try to just pick up only those data which is required, maybe a last week data or last 1 day data or last year data. So it's all can be easily achieved by using these date manipulation functions. Okay, let's try to see the very first function, that is talking about intervals related. Okay, so in that, the first category would be date add function. The word itself is indicating that you want to add a date to the function. So let's see what is today's date along with the current time. If I want to see what is today's date along with the time, I'll simply use a function called current time stamp. All right, what it will give the result is date with time. Let me give this date. That's it. So once you run this, you'll be seeing that it is year is 2021. Okay, let me copy this and put it here as a result so that, yeah, this is output. 2021, 03 is the month, 2022 is the year, and your time currently 7 o'clock 43 minutes 04 seconds. So that's how it's trying to give the complete information about the milliseconds. 940 is milliseconds. So it's trying to give the complete date and time information when you use the current time stamp. It doesn't have any parameters as such because you are just retrieving the information. So that's a basic one which I showed you, but let's come to the date add function, how it works. So when I use a select date add function, okay, date add, okay, it's existing date add function. So when you open the parenthesis, it's asking you something, that is interval. So which interval you want to see? That's, let's say I want to find the year. Okay, that's year itself is a function. So let's try to see something before this so that you can understand more. Let me remove this. Select year. If I simply put year, what happens? Will it give me any result? Let me use simply year. What it will give me? What's the output is going to be? So it is saying like the year function requires at least one parameter. So that means we are missing the function parameter. So when I open, it is expecting you to give some parameter. So let me give what is there already with me. Just paste it here. Okay. And close the parenthesis. When I try to run again, let's see what happens. It is giving 1905. What does it mean 1905? Is it a year or a month or a date? Okay. Let's try to go back and give the single quotes. Okay, the way you provide for your string, the number is not required, but it's not a number, this is a date. So when you use year and the entire information, that is a year, month, and date, it will give you exactly the year what you're looking for. So that means whenever you get a date, simple, let me go back to my Excel and do that experiment. I just want to get the current date here. I got it. I want to say year function. What year function? I cannot close directly this because it will throw an error. It has one parameter. It's telling, can you give me the serial number? What is serial number refers to? That cell reference which you need to provide. It will give me the year. Let me see, month also works in the same fashion. Okay, works. Will it work for the day then? Yeah, it works. Yeah, so I could able to quickly separate all this by using these functions, that is year, month. Let me try to expand this. How to expand and see all the formulas at once? Use control and tilt. You can see all the functions which you have used in this particular example. So that is showing as year, month, day, and it is giving the result. So when you use again control tilt function, which is in your keyboard, numeric functions beside that, the very first one under the escape, just use that tilt function, will come back to the normal position. So it's just giving the results. So let me go back and do the same thing here. It is giving the result as 2021, and this is giving as month. Very, very important functions. It's when you try to do this, we are getting 3, of course. Let me give here. And when you run this, you want to give as a day, and same goes with the time as well, right? So I should be getting 22 as a date here. So I got the 22. So now let's try to use this other functions of dates. Then you will understand easily what I'm trying to convey here. Select date add function. It takes few parameters again. Interval means, are you talking about a year? Are you talking about a month? Are you talking about a day? That is what it is referring. So let me give the first parameter as year, which is the interval. How much interval? So once you say comma, it's asking you how much interval, that is you want how many number of years. So let me say 1. Okay, so once you say comma again, it's asking you the date. So let me give manually here 2021, and today date is month is 3 and date is 22. So let me close this, and don't miss this quotes the way you give for your string. When you run this, it will end up giving you different results. So always try to provide single quotes just like you provide for the strings, and it will convert into a red color. So once you run it, what happens is it will going to give you, it will add, in fact, it will try to add 1 year to the existing date. So when you say minus, okay, this plays a very important role here. Year means which interval you are looking for, whether it's a year, month, a day, the number of interval, that is how, what is the duration you are looking for, what exactly you want to add. You want to add a year. How many years? That is 1. If you say 5, it will add 2021 5 years. That's what the result is going to be. Just imagine, if you want to get only last year data, you might have given just -1 there, right? So 2021, what it will become, it should give the result as 2020, right? So always remember, when you give the number into negative, that means you are going back. When you're giving the result as, let's say, 2 year, when you're giving a negative number, that means you are going back. So this is how you can use these functions in order to retrieve. Just the beauty of these functions is, when you're retrieving the data, you're not just retrieving the data, but you're retrieving only what you require exactly. Okay, now let's try to expand if you're understood very clearly how the interval is working here. Now let's go for month this time. Okay, we have seen with the year, let's try to see month. Month I added, but this time no negative. I want to add 2 months here. So what is current month? Current month is March. So that means I'm trying to add 2 months ahead. So when I'm trying to do that, it went to 5. That is that it went to May. Simple. So let me go for a negative character, negative interval, that is 2. That means I want to go for January 2021. So that is, you can see here, that is 2021-01 minus 2222. All right, so that is about the month. So let's go back to the same with not with the month this time, with the date, day. So when you are using a day, because why initially I've tried to show you year function, month function, day, because those intervals how you are going to use in these cases. So here we said -1 instead, let's say 1 only or 2 only, whatever. So for the existing date, that is 22, what it will do, so when I run this, it will show you the result as 24. Today is not 24, today is 22. It is adding 2 more days to the existing day. So when you want to go for future data, when you want to retrieve, so most of the time you'll find some forecasting numbers of upcoming months, right? So when you want to get upcoming months data, this is how you're going to retrieve. But if you want to go for the previous month's data, days or -2, that means 22, it will become 20 here. Okay, the result will be 20 here, the result would be 24 here, the result would be -2, that means it will become January, that is 1 Jan, and this is again 2 you are adding, that means it is going to be for May, and this is year -2, that means it will be going for 2019. This is 1, that is it is adding 2022. That's it. This is how the result is going to come up. You can just select this and run it and see how it is going to work. uh, and this all these functions, what are you see, you can use while you're writing select query, select star from table, where date, then you can start using all those functions which you are learning now. Where date, okay, where date, we are going to use that date equals to add this kind of a date functionality. So that's how you can simply try to get whatever the date information which you are looking for. So that's about the date functions. We have seen all those combinations which are really plays a very important role when you want to add date. The word itself is saying something, a date add. So what interval you want, you need to decide by the second parameter. It doesn't mean that the first parameter is not important. It is important. You're telling in terms of years or months or days. Now, how to work with the table then? Because I'm specifying all these static numbers. Nothing but you are going to give in the third parameter your column name from your table, right? So you are going to give your simply your date column, whatever the date column is there, you are going to provide from which table you are looking for. That's it. That's how we are trying to see right from the beginning how to use for a simple text, your own text, and if you want to see for the column names, how to work with it. So this is how we are working with the date add function. So let's see what else is there with the dates. Date differences. Okay, date diff. The word is written like date diff. Actually, it is called as a date difference. But the word we are going to use as a function is the date if. Date if, what it does. Okay, let's try to see again. Dated if. Actually, it's not date if. Dated if. Sorry. Yeah, written correct. So dated if will take few parameters. What those parameters, just look at the parameters and we can understand easily. It is asking me interval. So what is my interval? Do you want to go for a year, month, whatever? So let's say year. Okay, when I say year, let me copy this. Don't want to write this again and again. Okay, I want a date difference between this and this. Okay, it accepts 3 parameters here. You are trying to find with the interval of year from this one to this one. What is the difference between 22 year and 20? Let's assume. So when you try to run this, the output is going to be 0. Why? Because the year is same. There is no change. I changed only day. Actually, it's not this. We need to change here. Yeah. So when you run this, you are going to find -1. So that is, it is trying to the difference which is being there between these 2 days is trying to show as -1. So that means let's try to give a lowest year, maybe here 1947 to 2020. What is the difference in terms of years? So 73 years is the difference between these 2. Okay, so let's try to make it more simple so that you can understand 2020 and 2025. That is how much difference between these 2 years. So it's giving you a result as 5. So the same way, let's try to bring on to the next more functions. That is, instead of year function, can I use this y, which you usually use in Excel, right? Y, nothing but it's again, it's a function. What you use in Excel, right? Simply y formats. And here again, the interval is very important, the way we have given here. But this time, what I'm trying to achieve is without year function, can we do that? Because most of the time we use in Excel, right? Y columns. Now, when I run this, what happens? Okay, there is a comma separator is missing. It's not accepted. Yeah. When I run this, what happens here? Will it give the same result again? Yes, absolutely. So there is no change here. The only thing is I'm trying to test whether the year function is mandatory. Can I go with my own freestyle? Yes, it is possible. So let's go for the next one. That is using month. Okay, this time I'm more interested in only months. So let me use month function here, right? So how many months between 2020 and 2025, and between March and March, how many months difference? So if you go for there's 60 months, that is 5 years duration. 12 into 5, that is 60 months duration. So that is a 60 is an output. So let's go for why only month functions to be given there. Can I use simply something like that? Okay, let's see. You can also go for a single letter actually. So M. Okay, simply I used a M. So let's see, the result should be same again, 60, but by using M. So it doesn't matter how you use it, the functionality is same, but if you had it, if you see some query without using year, they've used Y, it should not be different. Both are same actually, in fact. So M I used here in order to retrieve the months instead of using a month function. So let's try to see how the day works, because we have seen year, month, then comes to day. So once I say day, how many days difference? Obviously 5 years, how many difference? 365 into 5. So 1826 is the output here. Okay, let's try to make it very simple. 2021, 2020 to 2021, 365 days expected result, right? So 365 days. So this is day. Can I get without day also function? Can I retrieve it? So why not? Why just use a D there? Okay, let's use a D there and just run it. You'll see the same output. So there's no difference. So I'm just trying to test here year without year function, month without month function, day without day function. So that's it, as simple as the same output, no change. We have seen practically how it really works. Now, if I want to see along with the time, because the time also plays very important role. Sometimes if you are working in such an environment where every minute, every hour is important, and you want to calculate the time difference also between morning to afternoon, how many volumes are processed and how much time is taken for each employee to process certain volumes. If you want to, in simple, if you want to calculate the number of hours, okay, the number of hours each person worked or number of hours really put efforts on a particular activity. So let's see how to work with the hours now. Let me you copy this again. Let me not do that. Select date difference, but this time I'm giving R. Okay, this time we are using R. Now I need some time here. So let me record some time of the current time. The current time here is I need to, how we are going to give the time, that is a space. Now the time is 7 o'clock. Okay, 7 o'clock. How we are going to give the time here? That is 7 o'clock 58 minutes. Okay, that's the time here after your month, year, month, day. And here let's give another time, that is you want to find the difference, right? So 7:58, let's say 11 o'clock some 30. So what is the difference between this day and this day and between these 2 hours? So let's try to run it, and you'll see 8764 hours is the difference, because the year, if you look at the year, it is 2020 and year 2021. So let me take the same year so that you can find the real tune of the difference. Both are the same dates, 2021, 2021, 03, 03, 22. Yeah. So you can see 4 hours is the difference between 7:58 to 11:30. That is 4 hours of time is difference. So that's what it is showing you. All right, so this is how you're going to work with the hours. Let's see why to leave this minutes. I want to see how it works with the minute. Minute already you have seen, hours we have seen. Now the time to see what is the difference between 58 minutes minus 30 minutes. So let's try to give a bigger number here or smaller number here so that we can really see the basic difference. 10 minutes and 30 minutes. So when you run that, you are getting 260 minutes. Okay. So how much time is between this and this is nothing but like 260 MTS. All right. So that's about the date difference function. We have seen quite a few examples which help you to understand how to use this date difference functions. And no wonder when you want to use the column name directly, just use in place of the static value what I provided, use your column name. Maybe your column name in your table is start date, and here is the end date, and you want to find the year difference. Here again the same thing, start date and end date from your table columns, and you want to find the month difference, same day and year and months. That's how it really works with your actual table. So I'm just trying to take, because I don't have such kind of table right now, and just giving you straight away with giving some static information. So works the same fashion. All right, so let's see the next function, which is again related to date only. The date name, the date name function. Date name function. So what this date name functions, let me give the text here information, date add function. All right, so that's what we understood. Next, to go for date difference. From your table, okay. And the next one is a date name function. What this does, the date name function returns a specified part. Can I say specified? Returns a specified part, yeah, part of a given date. We go for the next line. As an integer, is it integer? Yeah, as an integer value. Yeah, right. So date name function, let's see the usage and how it is going to really help me in the real time. Will it really work for me to clean up the data or manipulate it? Date name function, yes, existing. So once I open the parameter, again, I want to depend, I don't remember the parameter. So what is the best way is always remember, open the bracket and wait, take a pause and see what it is expecting from you. Interval, we already understood what is the interval mean. That is, you want a year, go for it. So year, comma, then you want to give a date. Let's take this date now. Okay, that's a date. So when you try to close it, what it is going to give the result, because it's asking me only one parameter. So at this moment, so when I'm just running this, it's giving 2021. Okay, 2021 is your year, and it's trying to extract the year from your given date. So I still have a question here. So when I'm giving a date name and year as a parameter, it is trying to extract specified part from the given date it is giving me. So what is the difference between this and this then? Year is also giving me year, which is trying to truncate from the whole string and giving me the only the year. It is identifying and giving the year. This is also giving the same result, that is trying to truncate the entire month, year, and day, from which it is trying to give the required information. The result would be 2021. Let's go for the next one, date name. Can I give the just like what I've given earlier, the y, and comma, then what would be the result? Result would be same, there's no wonder. So let's copy this again. I want to go for this time month. Okay, just like what we experimented with all the functions, let's try to export this as well. So this time when I'm trying to run, I got March as a month. So here is a catch here. When I'm trying to when I'm trying to run the month function, oh, yeah, month function here, I'm getting a numeric value. Okay, that is 3 is a numeric value of month. 3 stands for March. So when I go for this date name, the word, the date name, date itself is telling you, okay, the function itself is telling you date name. When you're giving the date, please try to spell out for me. 2021 can be spelled as a 2021 only, but when you talk about months, we can say March. Instead of saying 3, we can say March, right? So that is what the difference here. When you want to spell out, we can use this date function. So can I use something like that, the way we are trying to use? So let's try to use this again and see. Yeah, it's working. So let's go for the next one. That is maybe this time you want to find out what is year, month, and okay, next is day. Okay, we got day. When I'm running this, what day it is? 22. Okay, fine. Today is 22nd date. Let's copy this and go for simply day, not only D. Just run it. You got the 22. There's no difference at all. We are just trying to experiment. Otherwise, both are same. The next one is very importantly, I want to see what is a quarter, because sometimes you work with quarters, right? So what is a quarter? Whatever the date I provided, or if you have a column of 1 million rows where X total column is showing all the dates, let's assume all these dates, you want to check which quarter it falls under. For example, March comes in the first quarter or second quarter. Let's see. When I run this, it will show you as one. How many quarters for the year? 4 quarters. Okay. Each quarter consists of 3 months. So March still comes under the first quarter, second quarter, third quarter, fourth quarter. So let's change this 3 as 6 and see what is the result. You're going to find as 2. What if I change this to 9? That is going to fall under third category. If I say something 11, 11 is a November, which falls under fourth quarter. So as simple as that, it is talking about quarters. So let me come back to 3 again so that I can see 1. Yeah, this is 1. No, answer is 1. First quarter, day, month, year. Yeah, very clear information which you can read out. All right, so the quarter is done now. What else is left? We need to experiment with R also. R. What is R? So I want to find out R, what I need to give here. So simply remove the quarter and give the R. So if you look at my feed, what I've given to my system is not correct, right? It is only year, month, day, but I'm not given that time. So let me give space. What is the current time? Let me give, that is 08. Okay, 08, what's the time? It's now 08. So that is the R which I want to find out what is the hour from this particular entire string which I've provided as a parameter. So it's telling me right now the time is 8 o'clock. All right. The next one I want to go for, when you have seen the hour, obviously we want to see how the minute works there. The minute is going to be 8 minutes, not hours. So next, obviously, we want to find out the milliseconds probably. For milliseconds, I don't have the day time properly. So let's give one more colon, 8 o'clock, 8 minutes, 55 seconds, 144 milliseconds. That's time which I've given. So let me run this. Sorry, we need to provide here what? Millisecond, because we are trying to find out the millisecond. So what is the milliseconds here? 145. Excellent. Spelling is wrong. Yeah. 145 seconds, milliseconds, sorry. All right, so the 145 is the milliseconds. That's what we derived from the date name. The next one, very important. Most commonly I keep using this one. Hope you understood. So let me quickly recap what we done with the select dates. We started with the simply how to retrieve the system date, because this plays a very important role when you want to find out the system date, current underscore timestamp. That's a default function which is available in the SQL to retrieve the current day. So why do we need current day and time? Because when you want to compare the time which you processed or the time the employee is logged in, we want to capture anything. This is the best function which is useful. From there, if you want to do some more cleanup work and you want to get more insights from the data, we can use the year function, month function, day function. So yeah, from here the date add function starts. Let me be clear. Current date, year, month, and day. So that's how we are getting these functions are working. So the next one is the date add. Basically, you understood how the date add function, like we are adding something year, we are adding something date, we are adding something days. So here, this is very important again, when you want to find the difference between this date and that date, comes really handy, like we have a year, month, day, and everything. So the next one is we have something called date name function, because this gives you more valuable information, I can say, when it comes to spelling out that month completely. The next one is date apart. date part is really important functions. Let's see what it does for us and how can you use it in the real time. The date part function returns a specified part of a given date. Given date as what? As an integer value. Okay. So you might have understood now based on the text. Actually, I should have copied and pasted. Let me copy and paste so that you can see the real difference. Is there any difference or real difference? This is what pasted for the previous one. That is for the date name, right? Now, what is this date part? I'm pasting the same thing again. For the date part, I'm going to change only one thing here. Okay, one is talking about giving returns a specified part of the given date as an integer value, right? The first one is talking about a string value. Actually, I've written wrong. A date name functions returns a specified part of a given date as a string value, string or int value. That is what exactly. If you look at March, it was not giving a 3, it is giving March, right? So here it is going to a integer value. That's it. That's the only difference. Otherwise, you'll not find much difference. Anything can be used as per your requirement. Uh, Completely situation request. So let's see how to work with. Let me copy the same thing again. I need this context. Let me just drag it down so that the result window will be small. Okay. Now, what the function I want to use here is date part. Date part. Okay, date part takes what? Again, it takes some two parameters. One is your year as a function and uh, the date. Okay, here I'm giving a static value. You can refer your actual column name or from the table. So let me select this and you can see it's giving 2021 here. So not much difference I can see here. Date part, it is just giving you the result as an integer value. Date part here, this time you can also use year or simply YYY column, no matter. Okay, just want to give heads up. It's the same. There's no change. 2021 year. Can I use two-letter word also because I was not showing this example? You can also use a two-letter word. It doesn't matter actually. It still works. You can also go for a single letter here. So let's go for this next one. That is month. Month. Can I give the complete month or M? Both works. Doesn't matter. As you have already seen. So when I run this, I'm getting 3 as an integer value. But previously, I used to get March as a month, which is showing in the date name because it's more of date name, giving name. Here it's date part, it's just giving it an integer value. So let's go for the next one, that is day. Day. So from this, if I want to find out the day, it is 22. It's as good as the same example. So let me quickly move on this. That is day. Then we have something called, what else we can see, quarter. So where it falls under, it falls under 1. Excellent. Let's go for the next one. That is R. What is the R here? For that, I need a complete date and time. So let me take this example. Yeah. All right. No. All right. So when I run this, obviously what you're going to get is 8. That is, we are finding only R. So what if I'm trying to find minutes? You're going to find what? 8 minutes. So it's little confusing. Let me make this as 8, not 8:15, so that you can see a real difference. That is 15 minutes. So let me run on the milliseconds. Milliseconds. Why milliseconds? I'm missing that second. So let's go for a second. Second is how much? 55 seconds. So I should be getting 55 here. Can I go for a milliseconds? Of course. Milliseconds are going to be 145. Let's change this time so that you can see the difference. 155. So the output should also be 155. When I run this, you'll see 155. So that is about the milliseconds. All right, so this is how the data part works, date name works, date difference works, date add works, and these are the simplest functions which you keep using in uh, normally in your Excel. So these are the different examples. We have got a very good examples in this to see how it works. So let's see the next one, which I should have spoke in the very first beginning, but let's see this. How to get the date from system, okay? So I can use a select get date function, which is very popular, get date. Get date takes no parameters here, just run it and see what happens. It gives a exact year, month, day, time, hour, that is hour, minutes, seconds, and milliseconds. That is, it works just like your the very first one, what you have seen here, the current timestamp, which is a very big word to write, but it does the same here, right? It's doing the same job. There's no difference, but this is more commonly used date get date function. And so far, we are working with the functions which are helping us to manipulate the date. But what if you want to really manipulate the date format in a different style? Because let's try to see how this date is coming up. The date is coming up as year, month, day. But my system time is not like that. Let me try to show me my. Let me show my current. It's telling what March. That is nothing but month. 22 is day and year, so it's a month, a day and year on my system. But if the it should get from the date and time from my system, but though it is getting, but it's not getting in the proper format, because SQL follows year, month, day format. But what if you want to convert that format into your own requirement? Because when you are presenting in the dashboard, any dashboard, when you're presenting this date, you want to show in a different format. How you are going to format this? Very simple. Let's see. Change format for the date. Select use format. You can use the date, whatever the date you know, 21, 22, whatever. But let's try to use a get date function. Start using the functions what you learned. Get date, nothing but it is going to get the current date as we know. So open and closing parentheses because it doesn't have any parameters. So comma, here you are free to write what you want. DD, okay, MM, you want y. That's it. Close it, run it, and you see the magic. It's going to give you the day. uh, this is how you want it, right? So like you want a day, month and year. This is how you can get it. So you can also give the complete spell out of it, like say month. Okay, you can also specify the way you want it. So the format always changes the format of it. Get date will always get the way you want it. All right, so if I run all this query at once, it will become a big output. So anything I'm missing, let me just quickly check. Okay, this is a wildcard one. String functions, I covered everything. Substring, space, replace. Numeric functions, we have seen ABS, seeding function, so function, round. Okay, these golden rules for this sign, yeah, quite good. Date functions, we have seen current timestamp, year, month, date, date add. That's it. So we covered almost all the functions which are for this. Yeah. So string functions, which are nothing but text or characters, usually we say, but it's a string. So when it talks to this one, it is called as an integer or numeric or number, then the date. So we have covered all these three functions. Let's try to concentrate on conversion function. Plays a very, very important role when you want to convert something. So what to convert? Let's see with the examples in action. Okay, let's go for conversion data types, conversion functions rather. Let me put it here. Conversion function. So basically what it does, so let me give some text information for you. Enter that. Open. Yeah. The very first function which we are going to see is cast. Okay. Basically, this helps you to convert something, that is the cast function converts an expression from one data type to another data type. Let me write here. All right. So the cast function, basically conversion data functions are basically used to convert something to something else. So the very first one is a cast function. Cast function is trying to convert an expression from one data type to another data type. Uh, if the condition uh, the condition of this, if the condition is met, basically. So let me put another one. The function will return an error, otherwise it will return the conversion value. All right. So basically what it does is the cast function is trying to convert one data type to another data type. If the if this function uh, uh, will return error, otherwise what it will do is it will try to return the conversion value. Whatever it is converted, it will give you that value, otherwise it will throw directly an error. Let's see in action so that we can understand more about this cast function. So to use the cast function, we need some numeric value in order to pass as a value. Okay, and its data type, because basically this is conversion is trying to convert some data type, right? So let's try to use select. In any case, you can use a column name as well if you are trying to convert the whole column. Here I'm just taking a simple example, that is cast, to understand the logic. Let's say 14.85, that's a number which I've given as int. Okay, so what it is going to give the result, because it's already a integer, but I'm wrong. It's not an integer. It is a float value because it has a decimals, because integer always, example for integer is 14. 14 is a round figure number, right? So example for float value is dot 85 as per this example is concerned. So select 14.85 as an integer data type. So what it is giving the result as 14. So it is trying to truncate the result. The result is truncated as good as. Okay, so let's try to explore more. When I try to use as a float, what happens? Okay, what would be the result? Because now we know how to use the integer. Now I'm using a float value. When I'm running this, what the output you are going to see is it will give you along with the float value, that is 14.85. So in the first case, though the number was 14.85, it could able to give only the rounded figure, not the decimal points, because it is an integer data type. The second case, it was giving you the float value also. So that is what the cast is trying to work here. So let's see, can I use a varchar, which is a text information? It's not a numeric related, right? So let's try to convert something to a varchar data type. So varchar, let me use some example 15.6 something, a random number as varchar. So when I'm using varchar, what happens? What would be the result here? When I'm trying to run this, you are going to find 15.6 as usual, because you are converted to a text format. Okay, the given information is a text format. We'll never try to convert this case because when you convert 15.6 and another number also some 10.5, when you try to sum up these two numbers, you cannot, because it is in a varchar data type. It's not integer anymore. Only int float values can be used for aggregated. Aggregation functions can be applicable for only integer and float numbers, but not on the varchar. Varchar is a just, I've taken as an example to ensure that, okay, what could the result I would get if I'm trying to convert it. Okay, so that's about the varchar. So let's try to see more examples. Okay, I've not given the size here. Let's try to see with the size what happens. I used something called 4. Okay, we know that varchar, we always provide the size, how much data you want to store. So when I run this, what it will give the result? 15.6, there is no change. So that is the first one without size. With the size, how does it matters? It's not making any difference actually. So just trying to give the complete information, varchar and it says that is the data. So if I try to convert something, a text information, let's take this one only, or else this one as a float. This is a different experiment this time again. I'm using in single quotes. Okay. I'm trying to use single quotes, which is not supposed to use for a number. Now this number is considered as not number, but it is called as a text information because you put it in a single quotes. Whatever you put in a single quotes, it will be considered as a text information. But in the case of date, it will be a date one. That's what we need to make a note. So here, if I am using 14.85 as a float, okay, what would be the result is 14.85 only, because the text information is being converted to a float value. So it will doesn't matter. But the thing is, though it's giving the same result just like a number, integer or varchar, but the real difference comes here is the number which you converted from a text to number can be used for aggregated functions, but the number you convert to a text cannot be used for the conversion types. So let's try to use, can I cast something at data as well? Because we have seen the text, we have seen the integer and float. Let's try to see with the date style how it works. So I want to give some random date here, 2021. Then maybe today is 3, month is 3, and date is 22nd. So this is a date as date and time. So let me give a date and time. I'm just converting this as a date and time, and I want to see the how the result is going to be. It must and should give me the exact complete information, that is including the date and time. It's not giving the time, but it is trying to give that space for the time. Okay, so that's how the cast really works in the real world example. So whenever we want to convert, the information is very clear. Whenever you want to convert an expression, this is not nothing but expression, right? So expression from one data type to another data type, and the function may return error. Otherwise, it will give you the conversion value. It's in any case, it is not given error because everything was been satisfied. So let's go for the next one. That's called as a convert. Okay, this is something. Let me give a text here so that you can both are same. Cast is standard function in all RDBMS. Okay, that's a note here. We need to remember. Please make a note. Both in the sense, the next one which I'm going to use, actually I have not mentioned the function name. Convert. Okay, the convert function and as well as the cast function both work same. Actually, there's no difference. Then in that case, why need to use that? So if you learn cast function, what happens is you can use in any RDBMS, that is any relational database management system. It's not only SQL Server, even in SQL, Microsoft Access or PostgreSQL or BigQuery or MySQL, Oracle, anywhere you can use cast. It's a standard function. That's what I've written. But convert is a function which works only, let me write here. What convert function works, convert function returns, let me copy the same thing because this is going to do the same job, right? Convert function does the same thing. Okay, convert function converts any expression from one data type to another data type to other data type. So actually both are same functions. Both are same functions. Cast is something which is available in every relational database management system, whereas convert can be used in only SQL because this function is only available in SQL. That's what we need to remember. So is SQL Server specific function which converts. Let me put it in. Yeah. So that's the only difference. Otherwise, if try to always focus on cast because that works everywhere. But if you focus on convert, it works only in SQL, but not in any other. So we are trying to learn a standard language which you can implement in any relational database manager. So best possibility would be using cast, not the convert. But let's see one example with convert, how the convert works. Convert, yeah, convert. What do you want to convert? Like you want, but this takes a little different actually. When you talk about the cast takes first the expression, then it will take the data type. But in case of a convert, it's little different. Okay, those who are working extensively on SQL Server try to use convert. Those who are working on different databases use the cast when it comes to only this situation. So here, what I'm trying to do is first I'm going to give int. Okay, if you look at here in this case, I've given int as a later part, but here I'm giving int as a first expression. So that is the first expression, a data type which you are trying to give. Then use comma, then same number 1445 or something. Then when you close it and run it, it is trying to convert this number into int. Okay, so it works as good as cast. Whatever the examples I've taken here, all these examples you can test it by using a convert. So both are same, no change. What difference is convert is specific to SQL Server, cast works everywhere. So let's begin with the next one, which is again plays a very important role. That is that let's try underscore cast. That's again one more function which will try to cast. Okay, the word itself is trying to cast. So select. You may not find this in SQL in some versions which haven't tested actually, but you can see here try cast. If I type it, you'll not get it. Try cast. We are not getting it, but it still works. 14.85 as integer. The result would be 14. Okay. I'm getting error here. The reason is this function is not existing, but still it's working. You can see here and even if I place my mouse pointer, it will tell you this is not recognized, but it works. It works. And let me go for the next example so that we can see whether it works just like the same float. It is giving you the float number that is 14.85 as well. So it works. But in the first case, it is not given the 14.85 because int always round figures. That's what we need to remember. Let's go for the next example. Try cast. We are trying to cast something called maybe kind of an address. Let's take 14.85 or 14 Main Street, which is a text, which I'm just taking as an example as a text. So what you're trying to convert this is as a float. What is a float actually? Float is nothing but number with decimals, right? So here I'm trying to convert this text information into a float, but how it works, let's see. When I try to run, the answer would be null. Null in the sense it's not able to convert that factor. So what we have understood here, the function will return error. In this example, I've not shown anywhere like how the null possibility will be there, but that's a kind of error. So otherwise it will return the conversion type. So here we got the null because nowhere you can just convert the text into a float value, right? It's not possible. The next one, result is null because the conversion failed, right? Since the string value cannot be converted. That's a basic thing. So let me write here so that you can remember. The result is null because conversion failed since this string value and can not be converted to a numeric. All right, so that's a simple example. Why? For the question why. Okay, so that's about the TriCast, which will help you to understand how you can convert something into something. All right. So what happens when I try to convert the same number into same text into a varchar? Then it should work or it should not work. So let's try to see that as varchar. Okay, just I'm trying to convert. I'm getting 14 main straight because it's successful because a text information which you're trying to convert into a varchar. Okay. Oh, I missed again the size. So let me give the size. Does it make any difference actually? Should not, because every data type will follow with its size. So it's giving 14 main street as the output. So when you're trying to convert a number to varchar, okay, we have seen this example, but let's try to put it again. Uh, this time, let's see a number. Okay, so the number in the sense 15 point something 50 as varchar 25. So what you are trying to do is stupid thing, because a number which you are trying to convert into a text will give you the result as a 15.50, but it's of no use. The reason is on this 15.50 tomorrow, if I want to do some aggregated functions, I cannot do that. So that's about converting it, but let's see with the data as well as one example so that we can understand. Try cast, open bracket. This time I want to give year 2021 space. Then I want to go for 3 as a year, then 13, close it as date and time. So which is right actually, which you're trying to convert, which is correct actually. Whatever you're trying to convert, that is a date as a date and time, which is correct. So it's giving you a date and time. But had it been, if you're converting this into a text, what happens? Text is nothing but varchar, which I'm converting into a varchar one. So it is giving the date as is, because it is identifying this date not as a date but as a string. Because even if you put something as an letters here, whatever you give in single quotes, it's always considered as a string because it's a varchar data type now. Had it been at a date time date, it would have given the exact date. So let me run both so that you can see the difference. In the second case, what happened, that even though you have given the date along with some strings, it has identified as a string. So even if you remove this, it will still identify as a date itself. So simple, as simple as that. So it's identifying as not a date actually. It is just putting what is there in the single quotes, just dumping it as an output. That's about the TriCast. There is one more important thing which I keep using in my live environment. Let me share my experience, how this function really helps. Most of the time I use it because of when you want to just return the first non value in the list. If it is a null, you want to return that value. Okay, let's assume we have some certain in a given column, you have a lot of numbers at the same time nulls. So it will try to identify the first non-value, a non-null value, and try to give you the result. So let's try to see what is that function name is Kolaska. Okay, so this function, what does is it will always returns the first non-null value in a list. Okay, very good function, and must and should know. The reason is sometimes you end up with having some null values in your column and you want to avoid them and you want to pick up the very first null value from your table or from any text. So for example, let's see COALESCA, which is not showing up because this is available from the next versions. Okay, it's not showing up here. Okay, but still it should. Yeah, it's available actually. It's a version which I'm using is, okay, I'm using 2012 version. It should work. Prior to 2012, I don't think so it will work. Class function, let's say null, oh God, null, and I used one more null. Let's take this as an example, and I used Monty's Excel, then I closed it. Now I want to see what is the result of this output. Okay, most of the time I use in my real time because it plays a very important role. I want to just avoid all the nulls in a given information. I want to get only the required information. So the word itself is indicating here the statement. I mean, retains the first non-null value in the list. So what is the first not null information here? Monty Excel. So let's see what happens when I run this. You'll be getting Monty Excel, but not the null. Null, though being it sitting in the first position, you are not getting. Let's see in a different sections here. I'll remove this null from here. I'll put the null at the back. Okay, it's in the third position now and in the first position. Monty Excel still good. So let me go for Monty Excel being in the first one, and after that null. It's giving still Monty Excel. Let me go for the next example to make it more examples and understand and run it Monty Excel. So let me use one more example to see how it works. If I say I said Excel here. Okay, so Monty Excel, null Excel. So what should be the output here? Basically, here we got as Monty Excel as an output. Let me copy this. Here also the same thing. Here also same thing. Here, what should be my output? That's the question, because we have two text which is a valid one. Rest of the things are nulls. But again, I want to read out what the statement I've written here. Retains the first not null value in a list. So if you look at in this old statement, the first non-null value is Monty Excel, right? So let me run this. What happens? Still again. All right. So let me copy and paste here and remove from here, put null here in the first beginning stage. Here again, first null, not null value. So it how this function works very quickly, just like if condition in any other programming languages. First, it will check, is it a null? Okay, leave it. Is it a null? No, it's not null. So I'll return that value. That's how it works. So let me run this again and see still the output is Monty Excel rather than Excel or rather than null value. That's how the collapse function works in your SQL. So let's try to have a quick recap and see what are the things we covered. So in the conversion functions, we have seen most commonly used in the SQL environment is cast. Whenever you want to convert some uh, text information to a number information, number to cast, or within the number you want to change to a float or date time to something else. Okay, so we have seen quite a few examples how to use with the integer, float, varchar2 here, because we with size and without size, which you could not see any much difference actually, because I want to experiment how it works. So float value, we have seen how the float behaves in this case, because number we have given in the form of text. Why I'm saying text? Because it looks like a number, but why it is text? Because you're given the single quotes before and after, so it becomes a text. It's not a number anymore. But the text information you are trying to convert to a float, it still gives the same result because it is given in the single quotes as a text. But still, it convert to a float value. Okay, nothing but text to number you could able to convert, not just number, but with a float value. That is sense. And when it comes to the convert, I'm sure, pretty sure, like you all guys are clear with how the convert and cast works. Both are same. There is no change at all. The only thing is this available in all the DBMS systems, whereas convert works only in a SQL specific. When it comes to a TriCast is not available in 2012 version. It's available in from 2017, I believe. So TriCast still works in 2012, though it will not highlight that it is not available, but it's giving the result as you have seen. In the first case, it has given, if it is not working, it would have given error, but still it's showing as it's not recognized as a built-in function, but it's giving the result. It's giving a 14 here, 14.8. Here it has given the null also. Here it has given null. Why? The reason we have written here. And next we have converted text to a text. So it doesn't make any difference. Actually, you converted text already to a text to see how it behaves. And text you convert to a text again by giving a size, no difference. And you converted this number as a varchar. Again, I could able to convert, but just think about it. Why you convert a number to a varchar, which will not make any sense, because tomorrow if you want to do some calculations on it, okay, any calculation if you want to do, it will not be possible because you convert to a text. The whole column will be converted to a text. So wherever I'm using a static numbers, you can refer your column names. Okay, column names for every case. Initially, we have seen those example how to give your column name itself without the column name if you want to give your own text. So it follows all the functions the same way, just that I've not taken the table. Initially I've taken, and here I'm just trying to give the actual numbers to so that I can quickly experiment. If I try to experiment on the tables, I may uh, not explain you exactly what is converted and what is. So that's why I'm trying to take a simple number and trying to show you the output of it. Now that we have just covered all the functions which are really plays a very important role in terms of your data cleanup, because as I keep saying again and again, which is very, very important note to remember, in the real time, the data will not come in so cleaned, beautiful manner. So we need to always clean up. So SQL comes very handy to clean up the data the way you do in Excel. So in the SQL, we have a numeric functions and string functions and conversion data types, and we also have the date functions. So we have to practice this and see that where you exactly reach. And whenever we want to retrieve the data based on certain dates and functions, you can use all those functions which are available now. That's all for today. And